preparing to live stream the meeting.
Oh yeah, we've just got notification on our screens.
Yeah.
It says live on YouTube.
Yeah, we got it.
Yes.
Okay. Can
Okay,
we
and
begin?
how,
Hair and makeup is following.
how do I
Can you do that yourself now?
mute
COVID-19, you
my,
do all your own makeup.
Oh, it says live event playback is not supported on this client.
Well,
Well,
it says live on YouTube here.
Yeah.
we are live
it
on
has come
YouTube.
up. Yeah.
We are live on YouTube. So.
Okay, so shall we just carry on then? Because we don't
Yeah.
appear to be getting feedback.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
Let's
Are we
see how
ready?
we get on.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Good evening, all.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Welcome to the Environment and Recreation Committee meeting. Item 1 is apologies, is to receive and accept apologies for absence. Obviously, we've got Tony Redding because I'm standing in for him. Is there anybody else?
There's no other apologies. So as you've said, it's apologies from Councillor Redding, and Councillor O'Rourke is here as substitute.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. Right. Item 2, declarations of interest, is to receive declarations of disclosable pecuniary interests and other interests and the nature of those interests related to items on the agenda. Does anybody have any interest to declare as regards any item on the agenda? No?
No.
Okay, carry on for item 3. Item 3 is to approve and sign as a correct record the minutes of the meeting held 14th of July 2020. That's on pages 1 to 3 of your agenda. Does anybody have any comments or anything to say about any items of that they want
I move that be signed, Chair.
to maybe signed? I think proposal from Councillor Whiting, seconded. All in favour? Okay, I'll just sign these then, Alicia, and
Thank you.
then I'll put them into the office tomorrow.
Okay. Can you just make sure you put an initial on each
Yes, on each
page
one,
and
yeah.
then full signature on the final page?
Yes,
Thank you.
I'll do that, yeah.
Yeah.
No. So that's all done. I'll put those in the letterbox tomorrow. Okay, fine. So that's item 5. Item 6, public forum. Do we have any member of the public at all?
We have no members of the public tonight.
No, okay. So item 7 is the timber trail at the Castle Fields. Now, the original design agreed by the council does not meet with an agreement from the Historic England. So it's resolved to recommend that the revised timber trail design for the Castle Fields, consisting of 10 items, to be approved at a cost of £6,736. Sorry.
Sorry,
Sorry.
I'm sorry.
I think
I'm
you're
sorry,
on,
Chair. I think you're on the minutes and not the agenda,
beg your
Chair.
pardon. Sorry. Okay.
I thought I've got a
Chair.
different agenda.
Sorry, I was going through that. Sorry, I turned it over. Yeah. Sorry, beg your pardon. Item 5 is a high pressure washing and moss treatment of the tennis courts. And this is to consider entering a 3-year contract for the annual provision of high pressure washing of the tennis courts and moss treatment of the tennis courts at a cost of £730 per annum. That's on page 4 of the agenda. I think that on this one, we've had a response as above about the comments on there to say that the pressure washer will not damage the court and the moss treatment will be applied after the cleaning as a preventative measure. That's from, response from the clerk's inquiry on that. So, does anybody have any questions on the proposal of £730 per annum for a 3-year contract? Yes, Councillor Reevy.
Thank you, Councillor O'Rourke. The quote is for the tennis court only, because the comparative quote is for the tennis court on the Mugger, which is 550 But the quote for the 730, is that just a 3-year for the tennis court only, not for Mugger as well?
Well, I
Yes.
think it's just for the tennis courts, isn't it?
Yeah, just to clarify, the £730 per annum is just for the tennis courts. So it's £730 per annum for the pressure washing and the moss treatment. And
Right.
then the comparison note at the bottom is the price that we currently pay just for moss treatment. But when we have the moss treatment, we have it on the Mugger as well. So it's £550 was the latest annual price for the moss treatment, but it was for the tennis court and the Mugger. So if you split that out, assume it's a 50-50 split because the area is about the same. Moss treatment currently is 225, that would be, wouldn't it? No, sorry, 275. I can't do my math.
75, yeah.
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 So can I just clarify that we haven't actually had a quote? Does the Mugger not need this treatment on an annual basis?
I have subsequently acquired a price should we want to pressure wash the Mugger and also have moss treatment under contract. So the price for that would be £1,280. So that's for moss treatment and pressure washing of both the tennis court and the Mugger. The only thing I would say at this stage is because we've just had the new surface put down on the Mugger, before we went into the contract, should you be minded to do that, I would want to double check the guarantees that came with the resurfacing of the Mugger, because we may not, depending on how long the guarantee is, we may not want to go into pressure washing or the moss treatment until we were through the guarantee period. So if you're minded to do it, I would ask that it be subject to the guarantees being checked.
Councillor Gardner. Yeah. Councillor Gardner.
Thank you, Alicia. It was one of the questions I wanted to raise. I didn't want to invalid any guarantee that we had got for new works by going over and abroad and, and nullifying that out. The second thing was, how successful is the moss treatment in general? Is it a success?
I would say yes, generally yes. Historically, it has been. The previous year we had a lot of. I'm not quite sure what causes moss, but I think it's dry and then it goes wet. So we had one year where it was particularly bad with the moss, which was the year just gone. But normally, it's the treatment works well. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions on that?
Yes.
Sir Jackson, yeah.
That's the Chairman. One question I was a bit concerned about is if we're paying for this as a joint venture, obviously we've got to be careful because we've just had the Mugger sorted out. The last thing you want to do is pressure wash it and damage it because things tend to have to harden and dry out. So I feel that we should possibly we ought to seek advice on it, but I would have been very cautious about pressure washing the new Mugger. But
Councillor Whiting.
Yeah, can I just add? I suppose it's a good idea, but would it be at all possible just to get the tennis court done as now, for now, and then if such a thing as we can do the Mugger a bit later on when we've got all the advice that you need, could we add that to the contract at a later date?
I think perhaps the way to go would be to, if you leave it with us and we check out all of the guarantees, and if the guarantees are okay, then council could go into the contract for both. If the guarantees aren't, we're not comfortable with them or we don't need to do it just yet, then we just go into the contract for the tennis courts only. Whether you would delegate that through to us,
Okay.
or we can if we can do as you say and just go into the tennis courts for now.
Yeah, okay, Councillor.
And then I do know that if you want to go into contracts separately at a later date, the price would be slightly higher because obviously the price for both is reduced because we're going into them both at the same time. If we wanted to do it separately, I couldn't guarantee the £1,280 for both, I think the price would increase to the amount of the £730 for the mugger as well at a later date.
Okay, Councillor Reevy.
Can I just clarify, when would the first treatment for the tennis court take place?
It would be next year, so this time next year.
This time next year. So
Oh, right. So
really,
while,
the mugger is actually, will just be coming to the end of a 1 year guarantee, wouldn't it? So presumably it would be guaranteed for more than 1 year, I would have thought.
Yeah, we need to check the workmanship.
We need to check that, but I just wondered when the treatment was due for the tennis court, whether it was before the season or after the season.
Actually, Emily, sorry, I know that you're on mute. We normally do the moss treatment in the summer months, don't we? Is it late spring into summer?
He told me that they need to have a period of a few dry days beforehand, and then ideally a couple afterwards for it to actually take properly. So he does normally wait. When we commissioned him to do the wet pour areas this year, I'm sure he had to wait a few weeks for the conditions to be better after all those storms.
But it's in the summer season, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much.
So that's during the tennis season then?
Yes, it would be.
Yeah. Right. I just wasn't sure whether it would be before the season starts, so that it wouldn't stop play, or after the season finished, so that it wouldn't stop play. But it's obviously
in the middle of.
Yeah.
Middle of.
It's not a long process, so it would just be in between matches.
Right.
Couldn't we just have 1 year on the high pressure washing on the tennis court until we make our mind up on a contract of any sort?
You could not enter contract at all, and we'll just have it done next year, and then review all contracts this time next year. That's an option.
Yeah, Councillor Whiting.
Yeah, thank you. I think that way probably might be a little bit more expensive.
Yes.
I think from what Alicia said, I'd like to propose that we delegate to the town clerk and the assistant clerk to investigate the damage that is done to the Muga, if we've done any pressure washing on it. And if everything is satisfactory, I'd like to propose that we delegate to the town hall staff to
look into it further.
Yeah.
Councillor Gardner. Sorry, yes, Councillor Gardner.
Yeah, two things. I'd like to second it, but can I just ask, Alicia, when all the mugger and everything was done, does it not come with a finish of anything? Does it not have a treatment put on it as the last thing? Does it have something on it, or is it just done and finished?
Having spoken to the company who do the pressure washing, I don't foresee a problem with the surface and it not being acceptable to pressure washing. The issue is more about the period of the guarantees for the workmanship. So I have already asked the same question with regard to the mugger as I did with regard to the tennis courts in terms of damage to the surface. So I've been told that there shouldn't be damage to the surface, but it's more about protection of the guarantees.
So
it's a different company that have done, it's a different company that we've used for the mugger works.
Thank you, Alicia. Can I second then Councillor Whiting's proposal, please?
Okay, we've got a second. Are we all in? So you've got to reiterate that proposal on that.
Yeah, that we delegate
it to the town clerk.
The town clerk and the assistant clerk to investigate what we need to know about the damage, if any, be caused to the Muga. And then, if they're satisfied with the results that they get, then we enter into the contract to get both of them done.
Okay, so that's a proposal, and Councillor Gardner's seconder, and all in favour of that? Okay, that's all carried then. Yeah. Okay then. So that's that proposal is accepted.
Can I just clarify? And then, if we're not happy, do you want us to enter into just the 3-year contract for just the tennis courts, or shall we just review the whole thing?
Oh, I think review it, wouldn't you?
I think probably review it. Yeah,
review it.
That's fine.
Yeah, review it the next meeting, I think.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't need to be done till next year, does it? So we've got plenty of time to review it, haven't we?
Yeah.
Okay, right, so we move on to item 6, which is the Greenway Kings Meadow grounds maintenance to boundary land. And this is to consider whether any grounds maintenance work should be undertaken on the land that bounds the Greenway through the Kings Meadow estate. This is details on pages 5 to 8, including some drawings, and I think we've all been probably down there, I should think, and haven't seen it. Has anybody got anything to say on that? I mean, there's obviously a long sort of, I think have we all read pages 5 to 8 and looked at page 5 to 8?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Has anybody got anything to comment on it at all? Yes, Councillor White. Sorry.
Yeah, so just to say that, yes, it is a bit of a disgrace down there. Are we covering the email that we had Alicia earlier regarding the fly tipping at the same time?
Yeah,
Are we doing this all together?
I just thought I would make you aware of the email that came through from a resident, because she had made a complaint about fly tipping in 2 locations in the town, but in particular, one of them was along the Greenway, and it was along the same section that we've flagged up and we're looking at tonight under this report. So again, it was just to say that we'd had another complaint about green waste being tipped over from the properties over the fence onto our stretch of land that bounds the Greenway.
Is it worth sending a letter out, regarding fly tipping, so they can be fined?
We have historically written to not all of residents along that whole stretch, but to residents previously where we have been aware of green waste being tipped over. So we have probably about 1.5 years ago written to residents. Yeah, just so you're aware.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Councillor Jackson.
Thank you, Mayor. Deputy Mayor, sorry, Chairman. I visited down there. Part of the report about this is obviously they are allowed to trim anything that overhangs their fence, and because one of the common laws is that you must return anything that you cut off to the owner of it. So in actual fact, we have to be very careful when we say they're fly tipping, because some of them could possibly be just returning our own property. When you look at it, there's obviously the other side of the tarmac path, the footpath going down, there's quite a lot of debris down there, which is obviously fly tipped, including fencing materials, where obviously various residents have renewed their fence and used that as a dumping ground. I feel we should be looking at possibly getting some of that cleared away. But likewise, we've got to be very careful, because some of it just looks as if it is our own greenway that we should have actually been trimming.
Yeah. Well, I thank you for that. I mean, not that particular area, but I've had issues before last year with the Kings Meadow Lane coming down from Saffron Road, all the way down there. It overhangs. I mean, the greenways are good things, but they get so much overgrowth on them, and people are always complaining about them. And now we're getting people, cutting them and putting their or fly tipping there or whatever, and it's pretty bad down all the way down there, isn't it? And it's a difficult to know who. I went down there last year with somebody from, I think, from East Northampton. I'm sure East Northampton County Council. And they eventually, but it took about 3 visits before anybody actually cut anything. You remember that, Alicia, last year with Mr. Norman, earlier this year, I think, Mr. Norman from Kings Meadow Lane.
Just to clarify, actually, the greenway, the pathway itself, because it runs along the route of a public footpath, Northamptonshire County Council are responsible for making sure that the public right-of-way is not obstructed and passable. So we do know from looking at Fix My Street that within the next 28 days, there is due to be cutting back works along that length of the greenway. Now, what that will do, hopefully, is literally just come back, cut it back so it's passable. it won't then go beyond the boundary of the path to look at the vegetation that sits within our land holding and that grows right up to the fence. But it is due to be cut back so that it becomes more passable, because I am aware that there have been complaints and there are overhanging branches at the moment, but that sits with the county council, because the greenway at that point along Kingsmeadow Estate is on a public footpath.
Yeah. And what about the one from Saffron Road down to the bottom?
Yeah, that's included within that.
Within
that
that.
should be cut back as well.
Okay. Councillor Reevy?
Can I just say that if we do clear it, then I think we ought to serve the litter notices to them, because obviously some of them are sort of dumping their own household rubbish, because I don't think in one of the pictures it's pretty obvious there's a purple flower pot.
Yeah.
Which obviously has come from over the fence, because nobody would walk down there with a flower pot just to pop it there, would they? So I think if it is cleared, then they need a note to say that they are not allowed to put their grass cuttings and hedge trimmings over onto that property.
Councillor Gardner?
Thank you. Completely agree with Councillor Whiting in the respect that we need to think about some letters for the whole stretch. As a reminder to really, we understand that this is happening. It's not acceptable, it's not okay. It's just a gentle reminder so residents are aware. I completely understand that sometimes it could be our own rubbish that's being thrown over, but in the case of plant pots, I don't think that's the case. And just for those, to be aware. Also, I noticed we haven't got to the stage yet, as this is so new, where we've been thinking about price implications and costings for anything. So that's something I think we really need to explore, the costings of such clearance and such works. And also general public, and in fact, until I read all of this, you're not aware of who owns what and why, and who does what and why on such a tiny, on such a walkway. You've got different authorities just on one walkway, so it is quite confusing about who's doing what. But if we are promoting green walking, if we are promoting this way, we need to, to be a little bit responsible here and make it as such.
Okay, Councillor Jackson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. What I'm referring to is obviously the overhanging green over the residence fence, because if you look at it, there's an awful lot of greenery. Also, some of the trees now have grown so tall that it's complete branches that are going over into the residence, over the garden. I feel that we should be clearing our rubbish first before we send any letters out.
Yes.
Otherwise you'll get a lot of very sarcastic comments.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah. I am concerned about the amount of rubbish that is being deposited there, but likewise on the opposite side of the path. If you look at, as I said, it's people's fence materials, etc. That's what we should be writing. That obviously you don't know where it's come from, but we need to clear some of that as well. They've even left concrete posts on the other side as well. The whole thing needs clearing up, but I'm afraid we are going to have to spend some money.
Yeah, well, we had the same situation a couple of years ago at the Pocket Park, I think, because there's some fencing along there, and people have actually got gates there. They actually open the gate and then just put their garden rubbish behind from there, don't they?
Yes.
But the way forward on this is well, direction is sought with regard to this boundary land. Sorry, Councillor Gardner.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to ask, with community payback, Alicia, are they allowed to work in conjunction with someone else, or is it when they are on site on their own? Because I notice on here it says that they have concerns about clearing the waste, because of damaging property or damaging fences or whatever. Obviously, they're community, they're not specialists, they're community payback.
Yeah.
I think we need to perhaps explore that one a little bit further, because anything we can get done cost effectively, let's put it that way, I think we need to explore. But we haven't got any costs, have we? And I think we really need to think about how much something like this would cost, and to what severity, what would cost. Are we talking about a complete clearance, a partial clearance?
Okay, well, on here, it just about ways forward. It needs to investigate active grounds maintenance management. It says no cost has been obtained, but it suggests that committee representatives visit the area with an officer to review issues in advance of the November meeting. That's what's been suggested, presumably by town clerk, is it?
Yes.
And just to meet them down there and point out the things, what work needs doing and all that.
I think it would be helpful to have input from some members of the committee, and then in particular that will help shape what extent of ground maintenance you might want to consider, so that we can then get in quotes that we feel are appropriate.
Well, I think so, yeah. Okay, so have we got Councillor Jackson, did you want to say something on that?
Well, two things. I'm quite happy to form one member of the team, but it will need a shredder, because obviously there's so much rubbish that if you start carting it away, the cost will be astronomical. But if you have a shredder, then it can be laid down in the area where it's actually been tipped.
Yeah, good idea. Yeah, agree. Well, I mean, I'm quite happy to go down and meet anybody down there, but has anybody else got anything to say on that, or do we have any proposals on it? Sorry?
I thought Councillor Spencer had his hand up.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Sorry, Councillor Spencer.
I appreciate I'm only a substitute on this section.
No, that's fine. No.
But following on from Councillor Jackson's comments, if we have to do clearance, I would suggest we do a proper job. I don't feel it's any good doing half a job. That's my only comment.
Yeah, totally agree. Yeah. Okay, Councillor Jackson.
I think the committee members should actually walk down there, because it is an awful lot of work that needs doing.
There is a lot of work.
We're not going to do that in sort of a one weekend or 1 week for that matter. So it's got to be done in a system whereby the worst section is tackled first, and then we work outwards from that. It's going to take a fair while. We've got to have a plan for. We keep saying that yes, we need to take management on all these green walkways, etc. But we've got to have an allowance for it as well, because at this moment in time, we're not allocating funds for doing this work, and we've got to reconsider on that.
Okay, Councillor Reevy.
Can I suggest that we actually wait until the county council have done what they perceive as their clearing, and then go after that date to see what is
after the 28 days, you mean?
Yeah, because once they've cleared their bit off, we might be able to see what we've got to do.
Say the wood from the trees.
Yes.
There's a lot of trees.
Councillor Gardner.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. I'd like to propose that we do exactly that. We wait until County Council have cleared out everything that they need to. We have a look what's left. And when we know that that work's been complete, the clerk meet with members of this committee. And please may I suggest that Tony Redding, as our regular chair, is involved in that process, to meet with the clerk, to walk the entirety, to start thinking about costings and start putting together, as Councillor Jackson rightly says, a management plan on how we're going to tackle this. Because, like I said, this is not a litter pick on a weekend, Boy Scouts. This is a lot of major work, and I feel the benefit of doing it would be a long-term benefit, and it would it would clear the way and make it more attractive, but I think we need to see what we're left with before we delve into it.
Yeah.
So that is my proposal.
That's your proposal. Okay, so we've got a
I'll second
proposal,
it.
a seconded from Councillor Reevy. All in favour of that? Okay, all in favour? Okay, thank you.
My neighbour's got a shredder, Chris.
Okay, thank you. They are there. Right, thank you.
Can I just add on that, Chair, that I think as many members who want to go and have a look at it should. I don't think it should just be,
Absolutely.
you know,
Well, yes, right,
yeah,
yes,
I think,
yes.
you know, I think we should all go and have a look at it. And,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
yeah.
I mean, it is, you know, if you haven't been down, it's quite horrendous, really, like the,
Well, it is, yeah.
you know, and all the debris, etc.
Yeah.
Um,
You've got to bear in
Okay.
mind as well, it dries off.
okay. Well, we can move on to item 7, which is the town clerk's report, which is on page 9 of the agenda, which is relates to the timber trail at the Castle Fields. The order has been given to Wicksteed. Expected start date is early October. Northants MOLA are preparing the watching breach for approval by Historic England. That's it. Carved benches from the 3 Oaks tree that they are to be delivered to the Castle Fields. That's today, actually, is it 15th?
Yes.
I don't know whether they've been delivered or not. Have they, Alicia?
Yes.
I have, yeah. Unveiling
Exciting.
ceremony with the Highways England will be following tomorrow with the Mayor and also County Councillor Smithers as Cabinet Portfolio Holder for Highways and Places. That's a mouthful. Right.
Could I just update there actually, just to say that Councillor Smithers is not able to attend because of the change in rules with regard to the number of people that can now.
Oh, because social distancing.
Yeah. So Democratic Services at the County Council are not advising. So unfortunately, he's not able to attend and we are limited to 6.
Yeah, fine. Okay, fair enough. And a 4th log from another tree felled as part of the Jones Mill roundabout is being delivered to the wood carver's yard for work to begin. And this is destined for Nightingale Way play area as previously agreed. And the tennis club have begun use of the tennis courts for club sessions, which I noticed the other day. They were previously invoiced quarterly, and quarterly invoice resumed for the 1st of September. So that's, anybody got anything on the clerk's report? No?
No, noted.
Okay, so noted, fine. And item 8 is the parish paths warden report. And this is a report, the note from the report from the parish path warden, Marion Darnell, which is on page 10. You can't really get the whole maps out like we can when we're in the chamber, can we, to go through it?
No, right.
But it's got a good detailed report there anyway. I don't know whether Assistant Clerk's got any other thing to say on that at all, or anybody.
No, I move it be noted and thank her.
Yeah, noted and thank her for good work as usual. Yeah, okay, thank you. Right, and to item 9, any items to report. This is an opportunity for members of the committee to report items and to request future agenda items. No decisions can be made under this item. Does anybody have any items to report? Councillor Reevy?
Can I just say, have we answered the email that was sent about the
About the fly tipping?
Yes, yeah, we've responded, yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anybody else got anything to report? Councillor Whiting?
Yeah, thank you. I don't know really whether this is the right thing, but the fence in front of the houses in Blackwell Close, one section of it has been broke off, and the reason it's been broke off is because a group of lads have now decided to get like a cash and carry trolley, put a sofa on it, and they go riding down the paths, and they go round by School Lane as well. But it's only one section. It's just a piece of wood has come out from the metal support. And to be quite honest, I mean, 1 or 2 people who live down there are saying why don't you take the fence down, the same as what we did on the other side? But I don't know whether it's worth getting Steve Powell just to have a look at it and see if he could fix it, because a lot of that fence is actually now quite loose. So it might need a look at if you can.
Yep, that's fine. That's noted.
Councillor Gardner, have you got any?
Sorry, I just would like to, Councillor Whiting, does anyone around there have any CCT or footage or anything? The PCSO at the moment is monitoring situation with the schedules that you're talking about, so I know about it, and any information or any CCT will be very gratefully received at this point.
Right, not that I know of, but I will make inquiries, because as I say, the broken bit of fence is actually outside my daughter's, so you know, I've got to be careful what I say on that. But they're up and down the paths, and they're up and down School Lane and Kings Meadow Lane and everywhere on this trolley thing. So
Yeah.
So, sorry, can I have that? Can I have the name of the road again, please?
Blackwell.
yeah,
Thank you.
it's Blackwell, but I mean that's just the road, School Lane and
Okay.
Kings Meadow Lane. That's where they're
Thank
going
you.
around. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Councillor. Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Brown.
This trolley, do I take it it's one of these pallet trolleys?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, because they've got a sofa sitting on
I
it.
believe the trolley is garaged across the road to me. I'll try and find out who owns it.
All right.
Where the
Okay.
kids get it from, because they've been up and down my road with it.
I know the
settee
name of
on.
one of the boys who's connected to it, but
Yeah.
at this point I wouldn't really like to say too much, you know.
No, I believe it's garaged in Elizabeth Way, the trolley.
Oh right, okay.
Thank you.
Okay, is that all tonight? Okay, that concludes. Oh, sorry, Alicia.
Sorry, could I just report one item?
Yes.
The memorial bench has arrived, Chris.
Oh, right, okay.
And so it was previously agreed that one of the two benches on the Market
Yeah.
Square that sit on the bend of
That's
Wilton
right, yeah.
would be taken out and
That's
put in
right.
Castle Fields.
Yes,
So having looked at Castle Fields, we've got two new benches that were recently installed that run along the side of the path. We've got two wooden benches that went up recently against
Yeah.
the wall of the properties, and then we've now got three beautifully carved benches that sit
yes,
in the
we've got a lot
corner.
of benches.
Mm.
So I did wonder whether it would be how you felt about putting the bench in Little Castle Fields rather than Main Castle Fields. We haven't got any benches in Little Castle Fields, and I felt that actually I would just sound you out as councillors to
What,
Little Castle Fields
the
rather
bench,
than Main Castle Fields. Yeah.
so the bench that's coming out the Market Square, putting into Little Castle as well. I don't have an issue with that as such, and there isn't any benches in there, so probably not a bad idea.
I think that's a very good idea, Alicia.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know it's all Castle Fields, but I
Yeah,
just
it's Castle Fields, yeah, but that's
Yeah,
fine.
no, I
with
think
us.
that's a good
Yeah,
idea.
that'd be a good
just wanted to
idea.
make sure there weren't any strong objections.
Yeah, good idea.
Okay.
Okay. All right then, anything else? No? Okay, so just conclude that meeting. So the next meeting we have got is on the 10th of November.
Gosh.
Gosh.
And presumably that will be still on Zoom. So we'll see you then.
Yeah.
Most probably. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, everybody. Good
All
night.
right. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
good
you.
night, everyone.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye.